I'll go for it.
And we are live. Yes, sirree. Hello, everybody. Welcome to YouTube, the land of Invictus. I am sitting down with my good friend Yusuf. We were just catching up, actually. Not to be revealed what we were talking about, by the way. I'm sitting down with Yusuf, my good friend. Mate, it's been a long time between us chatting. We've been trying to get together again because I just love sitting down and talking Borough with you. It's just such a fantastic opportunity to do so. And first and foremost, how are you? It's good to see you.
Cheers, mate. Thank you very much for inviting me on your fantastic channel. And yeah, good to see you as well. I'm very well, thanks. Obviously, we lost the last game, so you know the mood can sometimes be impacted on like the last result and stuff. But I'm good. I'm well. Family's well. Work's going good, so can't complain.
That's so good to hear. I'm so glad that you are well and traveling well. Apart from the Borough, let's break it down while it's fresh in our minds, I guess, and talk about the weekend. Bad result. I was saying to you just previous to going live, though, one thing that I think is that there are footballing gods out there. And I think with everything that Liam Manning had gone through, obviously losing his son, this is the manager of Bristol City I'm talking about. If there was ever a day to give the opposing manager a smile for whatever it was that day. So I guess there was some sort of like, look, in the terms of Borough's season, yes, not good, but for Bristol City and the sake of what the Manning family going through, I just thought, there's a smile, at least, hopefully.
No, definitely, I couldn't agree more. And there's more to life than
isn't
football.
there?
So it just shows you just how it is. And obviously there was a minute of applause where both set of supporters, all the subs stood up. Stood on the touchline. Everyone was clapping. The whole stadium was standing up before the match, giving a minute of applause. So there's more to life than football, definitely.
I could not have said it better myself. The game went a little bit sort of as expected. Obviously, Middlesbrough, we are just the possession kings. We have attack after attack after attack. And then we give it away. We have the mistake in the back line, which leads to the goal. Two mistakes, really. I mean, George Edmondson on the stroke of halftime, and we're sitting at halftime 2-0 down. Were you shocked, or were you kind of expecting it to happen?
I mean, a bit of both.
Yeah.
A bit of both, because obviously we had a few chances, certainly in that first half. Second half, not so much, but in that first half, we had a few chances. We should have scored.
Yep.
We didn't. And typical Borough, we don't score. We make a mistake. They score. And then, they score again, and 2-0 down. It was. And then second half, we just never got going. We never really created enough chances. Yes, we could have got a penalty maybe, but we can't affect that. We can only affect what we do on the pitch. And silly mistakes and putting the ball in the back of the net has really been big problem for us this season.
Hasn't it, mate? I mean, one thing that I was saying watching it live was I feel like sometimes we're trying to be too perfect. And I don't know, the way I sort of say that is that we're trying to pass it into the net. I mean, we're working it well so down the wings to Doaksy and obviously Hamilton lately on the left sort of thing. And we get it into those spots. Then we expect sort of Ben Doak mainly, I guess, to get around maybe one, maybe two defender and then cross the pass in for a perfect goal sort of thing. And I feel like in football, there isn't such thing as perfect goal, you know what I mean? And I'm screaming for them to shoot, just at so many more times. But they're creating the chances. They are getting into the box where they need to be. It's just, and we were saying this just before, poor Latte. I mean, I absolutely love Latte, and I love the end of last season, mate. He was golden. You could not have stopped the man. And then it just shows you what confidence and a couple of misses back to back can do. And all of a sudden, he's in a bit of a dry spell, and he's got probably the weight of the world on his shoulders. You can see how much pain there is, with the misses. And again, on the weekend, that goes in, when he's rounded the last defender, we're 1-0 up sort of thing. So, I mean,
definitely, yeah.
We've seen it, haven't we?
We have. But I think once he gets that first goal, then the rest will start
Yeah.
flowing.
Yeah.
I've got no doubt about that,
Yeah.
because I still think he can be a big asset for us.
Yeah.
So
Completely
I think
agree.
we just have to keep singing his name like he did on Saturday, and once he gets that goal, then
I'm sure he appreciates it from the fans 100%, because the weight he feels would be compounded by all the stuff on social media and all that sort of stuff, which is horrendous at the moment. I just shut down social media at the moment. I mean, talks of Carrick out and stuff, Yusuf. I mean, I don't think it's necessary right now. I mean, we just said how much there is, life, is bigger than football, but I still think Michael's got a fantastic opportunity to do great things still with this squad.
Yeah, but that's just like modern day football, unfortunately, where you lose a couple of games and the immediate reaction is to get rid of the manager. Carrick is still, for me, the right man.
Yeah.
There hasn't been any. Of course, he's made mistakes. I'm not, there's times where
Human.
he can make his substitutions earlier. Team selection sometimes, you think, oh, why isn't this player playing or whatever. But at the end of the day, when we win, he's a fantastic manager. When we lose, they want him out. It's one of them ones. But I still think he's, a good man, a good manager for us. But football's about opinions, so I think I can understand as well when fans say that, because at the end of the day, we've been in the Championship for a number of years. We got relegated 2017.
Yep.
It's coming up to I think 8 years or something. I'm not saying the best, but it's coming up to 8 years maybe. And it's that frustration of like, when are we going to kind of get? So you can understand a little bit why fans might be saying it as well. But for me personally, I think Carrick is the right man.
Yeah, I still think he is. And I think on that team selection, there's ones. I mean, it's very hard because we're seeing this season, last season he was forced, wasn't he? Because there were so many injuries that the starting 11 sort of wrote itself because he just literally couldn't pick anyone else. But this season, there seems to be such squad depth that we're seeing him having like a new type of Michael Carrick, where he's got players like Marcus Force, Matt Clark, Riley McGree on the bench. You know what I mean? Izzy Jones, who was our constant starter last season, now falling behind Ben Doak sort of thing. So, I think we'll see squad rotation coming into it. And I expect coming into Sheffield United midweek that the same starting 11 probably would be rotated out. Would you believe?
Yeah, probably. I mean, like you said, if you look at the bench that we had on Saturday, we had McGree, we had Jones, we had Clark.
Yeah.
We had an abundance of talent, but we need that, I think, because it means that the players that are playing, if they're not performing, then we've got players that can come in and replace them. I mean, like you said, last season, we kind of had to pick the team that we had because the bench last season was youngsters, and we would have been a bit harsh to, when we're trying to get into the playoffs, just put youngsters in the starting 11, and if they make a mistake, they could kind of crumble. Maybe they're not kind of ready for that. But now we've got senior players. We've still got a few players to come back, the likes of Johnny Alston, Dale Fry, Darragh Lenihan as well. So we've got a fantastic squad, and I think when everyone's fit, there's no reason why this squad shouldn't get promoted this season. I genuinely believe that.
I completely and utterly agree with you. Is there anyone that you think for this stage of the season that we've been missing hugely? I would say Johnny Houston's presence. And I know, look, not Hayden Hackney and Aidan Morris, I absolutely love. Captain America, by the way, I will move to America for that man. I'm in love with Aidan Morris. Consider me a little bit American now, thanks to him. And I love what they're doing, but I still think that team screams of Johnny Houston's maturity, maybe. I'm not too sure, but Matt Clark. Obviously, Matt Clark got injured just before that international break. He then loses his spot to Edmondson. It's harsh, I would say, to drop Rav Vandenberg or Edmondson for a Matt Clark, but I still think there needs to be a space made for the likes of a Matt Clark. Is there anyone that you think should be, you're waiting for them to come back, or that you want to see more of?
Yeah, I'd agree with Houston.
Yeah.
I think on the pitch, off the pitch, even if he was on the bench, I think it would be a great person to bring on second half if things are not going to plan, or if we're having the lead and he can calm things down and whatnot. So I think we're definitely missing his presence because he's a fantastic kind of player. I also think Marcus Force, because I
Yeah.
still think he's the best finisher
Yeah.
at the club. I think he's, for me, the best finisher that we've got. He's had a lot of injuries last season, and it's kind of continued this season. But I think if we can get a fit Marcus Force, like, I'm not saying, all the pressure on him, but I think a fit Marcus Force is definitely a better Middlesbrough Football Club for sure.
Oh, definitely. And you heard it here, Marcus, when you tune in. Yusuf wants 3 goals from you on Wednesday night, okay? The pressure's on. The pressure's on. Yusuf, you're famous, by the way. I'm like nervous talking to you, good sir. Fan of the year. Fan of the year. I was so incredibly happy for you seeing the nomination come through. I couldn't have wished it for a better person. Obviously, last year was probably some ups and downs. I was part of, the reaction to seeing the racism stuff. We spoke at length about that, I think, last time out, and how disgusting that was. But we then turned that into, obviously, the recognition of the support that you give week in, week out, the travel that you do, and all that sort of stuff. Tell me about the Fan of the Year nomination, you absolute Brad Pitt of Borough. And how was the night? Did you have fun? Was it enjoyable? Were you nervous? Talk to me about all of it.
Yeah, it was amazing. It's just not my world because I was wearing a suit. I don't wear suits, and I was wearing a suit. I was wearing the bow tie. The thing is, I got an email and they said it was a black tie event. I didn't know what black tie event was. I had to Google it. I literally hadn't got a clue what a black tie event was. So I had to Google it. And then, all my thoughts are thinking, what am I going to wear? What am I going to wear? So I spoke to a few different friends and family and again, different advice. Some people are like, rent out a suit for the night. But then other people are like, why would you rent it out? You might as well buy a suit, and you get to keep it kind of thing. So I was getting both. So I ended up buying the suit and the shirt and the shoes and stuff. It was just fantastic feeling for me on a personal level. It wasn't, like I said, the world that I'm used to. Having footballers around me in the Championship, League One, League Two, managers as well. I suppose the only thing that was missing was a Middlesbrough player there. Because obviously the season before, Tuba was Player of the Year. Michael Carrick was nominated as Manager of the Year. Hackney was nominated as Young Player of the Year. So that was obviously there the previous season, but last season we didn't really have any. We didn't have the best of seasons.
No.
So we didn't have anyone nominated. So that was the only thing. I sound greedy, don't I?
No, that's fine. That's good. I would have been. Was there anyone from Borough there with you, or were you literally by yourself?
Yeah. No, I had a few people behind the scenes.
Oh, okay, cool.
In fact, I was sat with Chris Jones. You know Chris Jones, the head
scouting. I do. I love him. He's such a nice guy.
Chat. We had a good chat. We had a real good chat, and because he's from London as well. So pretty cool. I was sat with Chris Jones. Yvonne Ferguson, who head of support services. She's a gem of a lady. There was a few others, people that were head of stewarding, head of retail, head of
Oh, that's great. So it was a good table then. You had a Borough table at least, sort of thing. Oh, well, that's good.
There was a Borough table. It was a Borough table.
That's good.
And, it was good. The food was nice. 3-course meal. I'm not really used to having a 3-course meal.
3 courses. Starter. You are Brad Pitt.
I know, starter, a main, dessert. It was just, it was
what a
surreal,
night.
And it was one of the highlights of my life for sure. I really enjoyed it. Definitely.
What an honor, an absolute gem of a person. And I was, as I said, I was dancing here. I was so happy for you. I was so excited. I was just elated to see someone from Middlesbrough recognized, because I feel like obviously Northeast, far out of it, you're not part of, and I guess to see not only someone from Middlesbrough, but yourself, someone that I'd, had to chat with and got to know, obviously through this crazy world of, being a fan of Borough and stuff like that. And I was just so happy for you. And I commend you on just being there. I mean, what an incredible achievement for you. And again, like you said, something you'll remember for the rest of your life. And I'm just so happy for you. I'm just so happy for you. It's just incredible. What an incredible moment. Geez, I wish I could have been there just to give you a hug. It would have been just incredible. It's just congratulations. We have got a live audience here watching us, Yusuf. We didn't do this last time, but I thought I'd open it up because we have got a few guys coming in through the YouTube. I will say quick g'day to Lungful, g'day, Smoggy, Tufnell, you big legends as well. If you guys have got any questions for myself, you don't need to ask me any questions. You guys get to see me. But if you have any questions for Yusuf, by all means, type it in the chat and I will ask it as we're going. We just had a few comments about the game on Saturday. Tufnell was saying I was feeling pretty raw on Saturday, but reading other people's comments on X and YouTube forced me to accept that it's not as bad as it seems. No one is running away with it, and we're still within touching distance of the top 6. I feel a bit better if Carrick had used a plan B, though. Plan B, Yusuf? Do you think Carrick needs a plan B?
A lot of people have said that. The thing is, he has shown in the past that he can have a plan B. I remember when we went to Leicester away, we played like 5 at the back, with wing backs and stuff. When we played Chelsea at home and Villa at home, we in the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup, we played 5 at the back. So
very true.
It would be nice to sometimes do it more, I guess, especially if it's not working. So if we've got a bad run of form. But it's one of those things where, Carrick sees the players week in, week out, and he obviously trusts his way of thinking. I think if you want to be a manager, I guess it's one of those things where you have to kind of stick to your principles, and he obviously believes in the 4-2-3-1 system, and he believes in the players that he's playing. So we just have to kind of support it. I know it sounds like a cliche or answer or me sitting on the fence, but it is what it is.
No, I get it. Yeah.
But I think every game's different. So some games you have to change it around. So maybe for the Sheffield United game, maybe we could go with 4-3-3 rather than 4-2-3-1. Have 3 central midfielders. Or as the season goes on, certainly some of the tougher away games that are coming up, we can maybe go with 3 central defenders now that. That's what I was going to ask you, because do you see a team or a place where we can fit a Clark, Edmondson, and Rav Vandenberg in? Yeah, definitely, because then we've got Jones that could play right wing back, and we've got Neto that could play left wing back, but we've also got Luke Ayling that could play as one of the 3 central defenders. Do you know what I mean? Ben Doak, he's so he can easily be one of the number 10s behind the striker. Very true. Finn Azaz, who a lot of people criticise, I really like Finn Azaz. I think he's one of our most underappreciated players. Actually, he is. There's a lot of things that he does off the ball which people don't see, and he creates a lot of chances for us. But at the moment, he seems to be the scapegoat. It was Isaiah Jones, but Isaiah Jones has been on the bench, so there needs to be a new scapegoat. There's always a scapegoat. There is. There has to be for Borough fans, doesn't there? There has to be someone. For me, he's an essential part of the way that we play, and I really, really like him. Yeah, I love Finn Azaz. I think I love what he goes about it, and I think because he's so focal to what we do, and he has so much of the football, that it's easy to criticize him because he's so present. And I think people forget that the more present you are, the more you're playing. You're on the ball. You know what I mean? And you're trying to create things. And obviously, sometimes we're all human. It doesn't come off. But when you're on the ball as much as Finn Azaz is, it's easy to criticize because you see him more than you see the likes of Luke Ayling or someone like that on the ball, sort of thing. So I think I think you're absolutely right. The scapegoat thing is just, I try and I do my best not to jump on it at all. It's just, one of those things. I think where Boroughs just need someone to blame. And another quick question from the live. Good day to everyone. Tristan says, I'm just joining you while having a late lunch. Enjoy your late lunch, Tristan. Have you had lunch, Yusuf? I haven't, not yet. No, I'd have it after. There you go, Tristan. Yusuf will have a late lunch with you as well. Lungful wants to ask, and maybe we can lead into this one, Yusuf. How much has Aaron Danks leaving impacted the Borough? Yeah, I mean, I've read that a lot as well. I think
Same.
when the team isn't winning games, people will always look for reasons why. And I suppose you've got to look at what's different from last season to this season.
Yep.
And obviously, one of the differences is there's no
Aaron Danks. Yeah.
Aaron Danks. But people also forget that we started off last season pretty poor.
Yep.
We didn't win until late September, and Aaron Danks was coach at the time.
True.
This isn't me criticizing Aaron
No,
Danks.
no. Yep.
I know Aaron Danks. I remember his family. Just to say, I know his family. I saw his family many away games. You know, his wife and his 2 children as well. I used to see them many away days. I love Aaron Danks to bits.
He's a beautiful man.
He's a good man. He's
a very good man. Very good man.
But I guess it's the truth. If the matter is, I don't know if it's been impacted because we don't know what Graham Carrick, his replacement, is doing. We have no idea. But I guess it's a question that needs to be asked. But if you're asking me that question, my honest answer is I don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't know.
That's fair. I mean, for me,
he's like a good coach.
People ask me that question, and I think it's easy to point again because he was really the only significant departure we had. I mean, there wasn't like last season where we lost Tuba, Archer, all these lone stars went back. It was, he was really, that was it. And then we had the good core of squad, and we added to that with Aidan Morris and the likes of that. So to have the only person to leave being a coach, I think it's easy to then go, well, our tactics are gone because one of the coaches left. But say Jonathan Woodgate had have left, say Grant Ledbetter, even, one of them could have quite easily gone and taken some other job. And would we be sitting here going, because Grant's gone, we're not doing this anymore. So I think it's just easy. Again, it's that scapegoat mentality because I don't think if Aaron Danks was so important that we wouldn't have fought to keep him more. Do you know what I mean? Because Aaron Danks wasn't the manager. It's Michael Carrick, and the brains behind the operation for me is Michael Carrick. Then you bring in your brother, and you have this sort of mentality, and I think that just for me works. So I think it's a fair question, but I feel like it's unfair to say it's unfair for me on Woodgate, Carrick, Graham Carrick now. Fettis, Grant Ledbetter to say, because Aaron Danks left, you guys have got no idea what you're doing anymore. Do you know what I mean? Because they were all there last season when we had that great run. Do you know what I mean? Michael Carrick was there when he came in and turned our fortunes absolutely upside down, sort of thing, and we had the playoff charge. So I think it's just one of those easy targets, I guess you could say, which is a shame.
Yeah, I guess he was obviously the striker coach as well. So I think it's like a lot of his emphasis was on the forward players. So I guess the fact that we're not scoring goals and we're missing some kind of easy chances, it's easy to look at Aaron Danks and him leaving the club. But he's a fantastic coach. I mean, he's gone to one of the biggest clubs in the world in Bayern Munich.
Can't say no to that.
Do you know what I mean? He's working with Harry Kane and Musiala and the top players in the world. So, listen, it's we can't.
At some point, you've got to realize. I mean, what an opportunity that was for Aaron, and I think he said that in his goodbye thing. I mean, you can't not look at an offer from Bayern Munich sort of thing, like any player or anything like that sort of thing. Another question from the YouTube audience. It's from Tufnell. G'day, legend. How are you, dude? Who is your favorite current player and why is it Aidan Morris, Yusuf?
Well, my favorite player is actually Rav van den Berg.
You love Rav.
I love Aidan Morris as well.
Yeah.
I mean, Aidan Morris has settled in really, really
well.
What
a star, right?
It's like he's been there forever. Honestly, like you'd never guessed that he's just come to a new league. New country and everything. He's really, really kind of settled in, and just his style of football is perfect for championship football because he's always running around and he's good tackle, good passing and stuff. He's settled in really, really well, and I know it's early days, but he's put his name in the contender for player of the season already, him and Matt Clark. So I think if he carries on doing what he's doing, if he can add a few more goals, then I think we've got a really, really good player. But he's started off fantastic. He really, really has.
Yeah, for such a young player, and not only that, to come from America for the first time. I mean, I was reading his thing when he was the first time he's left home. Do you know what I mean? To come to the other side of the world, move to England, change of weather, chain of losing family, people you know, shops you know. I mean, it's such a massive change, and for such a young kid still, he's just embraced it. I feel, and he's just been able to take it in his stride, and I think he's just got that personality that just oozes the class to be able to throw anything at him, and he's just like, yep, I'll get it done, sort of thing. And I think that for me has been the most impressive thing, because I feel like Carrick could say go and play here, and he'd just be like, yep, you know what I mean, I'll do my best, sort of thing. And we see it with international breaks, don't we? I mean, as well, like the amount that he has to travel to go play for USA, you know, and USA's got a great pool of players to choose from, and he's like starting. Do you know what I mean? Like they're no slouches at US, you know, at America. So yeah, I think what an asset, what a find he's been this season. And I think if we're sitting here saying yes, maybe the results haven't been the greatest, but then I tell you what, Aidan Morris has been a shining light in the mix of that for me. And would you argue Ben Doak? I mean, 18 years old, everyone wanted him. It's easy to look at him and go, he's not 18. I mean, the one thing that scares me, and I want to get your thoughts on Ben Doak. The one thing that scares me with Ben Doak is how prolific he is, that we use him too much. And I'm saying this from an opposition's point of view, is if I sit back and look at maybe the last 2 games where he started, 3 games where he started, a lot of our play is going from Luke Ayling up to Ben Doak, asking Ben Doak to beat 2 or 3 players. Do you see that as an issue, or do you think what you've seen of Ben Doak, it just has to be that way?
Well, he's an asset. So if he's one of your assets and one of your strengths, you have to utilize it.
Yeah.
Ben Doak wants the ball at his feet. He's one of those players where when he has the ball at his feet, he wants to take players on. He wants to excite. He wants to do something, and that is something that we don't quite have on the left-hand side. I mean, don't get me wrong. We've got McGree and sorry, your good mate McGree, but he's more of a central.
The GOAT.
Like he cuts in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He cuts in, and he doesn't actually give us that width. Yeah. I know we've been playing Micah Hamilton there recently.
Yeah.
But we've had like McGree, Finn has played there sometimes. I think Tommy Conway was kind of playing on the off the left as well. So we need to kind of utilize Ben Doak and his directness, and I think he's a great asset to have. So we might as well use it.
No, I completely agree, and I think it's one thing that for an 18-year-old to come in and have such an impact. I don't remember an 18-year-old ever coming to the Borough and having such calmness on the ball to be able to take 2-3 players on, you know, that are twice his age sometimes, you know, especially in the championship where there's such brute force defenders, you know, in the championship, ones that will really take your legs out, sort of thing. And I think you can see that Liverpool knew what they've got. And I think it shows when Middlesbrough were fighting, 7 or 8 other clubs apparently to get his signature. Like you can see why, because, you know, he is such a talent. I think he's got an exciting future, and I'm just excited to see what he can do. Do you think it's fair on Izzy? I mean, Izzy was such a stalwart last season. I love Izzy Jones. I love what Izzy's about. We saw Izzy start the season. Obviously, Ben comes in on loan, and Ben's hit the ground running so much that obviously someone has to fall to the side. Do you see a place for Izzy and Ben at the same time, or is it something where we're just obviously it's a long season rotation?
No, definitely. I mean, like we spoke about Plan B at the start, where with the whole wing-back system, you know, Jones can easily do a job on the right-hand side, and then Ben Doak could be one of maybe the 2 number 10s behind Latte left. So I think we could definitely see that happening. So yeah, I think Ben Doak could also play as a number 10. He can play on the left. He was playing as a left winger for Scotland the other week as well. So. But we need strength and depth, and I think with Jones, again, like I said, he used to be one of the scapegoats.
He did
for us, but if he had end product and he had better decision making, he'd be in the Premier League. And that's what I try telling people. So I think the fact that we're a championship club, there's a reason why we're a championship club. We've got championship players. There's a reason why they're championship players, is because they might not have the consistency or the end product, or sometimes it's down to experience as well.
Completely agree.
But for me, Isaiah Jones is an asset. He's won. How many penalties has he won for us? Unbelievable. And yeah, he's such an important player in the squad because he's the quickest player that we've got.
Yeah.
He's very different
He
to
beats him. Yeah.
our forward players.
Yeah.
He's got pace, which, do you know what I mean? Ben Doak's a little bit more different. He's got
Yeah.
more probably technical ability and whatnot, but Jones, in terms of pace and directness, I think we could definitely see him in that wing back role, and I think that's probably his best position. Probably,
Yeah.
he might think better as a winger.
Yeah.
But for me,
He's
his
a
best
wing
season
back.
was under Chris
Yeah.
Wilder.
Yeah.
When he played as the right wing back. So I think that's a way one way we could get both Doak and Jones in the team.
No, I completely agree. And one thing that I was sort of, and it goes back, you talk about the wing backs, the one thing that I keep looking for is we keep getting into these wings very easily, whether it's Hamilton or Doak. We get into those right in front of the corner flag. We seem to get there with ease, and then we get into the box. And then it's talking about trying to cross it back, you know what I mean, or get, square it up sort of thing. And I feel like that's where we're let down. But for me, what I'd like to see is maybe forcing a corner. You know what I mean? And then making sure, and then if we play that wing back system, 3 tall centre backs in Edmondson, we've seen Edmondson score, we've seen Clark score. I mean, having those two boys, and then you're just forcing corners, because if you're not going to get that cut back in, we're seeming to, Doak beats 1 or 2 and then cuts it back in straight to an opposition defender. Maybe we force corners and we make sure that corners are, on point sort of thing. And unfortunately, Middlesbrough set pieces in the previous seasons haven't been the greatest, but that's something that I was thinking, that maybe just try and force some more corners, and then have, if you're playing like the Clarks and the Edmondson stuff, we know like how good they can be to score from corners sort of thing. So could be just something. Stephen says, I've just caught the stream. G'day, Stephen. He asked, should Latte Lath be rested for a few games now until he finds his confidence? And why doesn't McGree start? I'll throw the Latte question to you, Yusuf. Do you think Latte Lath needs to rest for the next couple of games?
I mean, this is why we've obviously got a squad. Maybe it might help him to come out of the team. We've got Marcus Force back fit. Maybe start with Force, and then maybe Latte Lath can a couple of games come off the bench, give him 20 minutes, and maybe that might help him a little bit. Because his confidence is so low at the minute. He's having so many opportunities, and it's like sometimes it's not even down to bad finishing; it's down to good saves from the keeper or good defending.
Very true.
It's just that last little bit of thing. And again, people put 2 and 2 together, and they look at the Ipswich thing, and they're thinking, "Oh, this, him not going to Ipswich impacting him not scoring and all of that." Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Like nobody knows that. He's just out of form. Strikers do sometimes have that patch where they just can't put the ball in the back of the net. But like I said before, I genuinely believe once he gets that first goal, the rest of the goals will start flowing. But to answer the person's question, I definitely think maybe a little rest might help. A couple of games, start with Marcus Force, and then once his confidence gets back in, then maybe maybe we can keep going.
One of the things for me, I think, is helping Latte. If I was in a manager's seat, is how can I help Latte find this confidence? And maybe we know how fast he is. Maybe substituting him on when the defense are tired. You know what I mean? Once the 4 backmen have played 70, 80 minutes, then you inject Latte, and he's got the pace to get in there, and you're giving him the advantage of being fresh over a tired defense to maybe create a chance or 2 more sort of thing. And maybe that's how we help him find that confidence, because that's what I think I'd be doing now, is going, how can I help Latte from my point, instead of, maybe, and that's maybe the answer, maybe instead of playing him for 70 odd minutes sort of thing, bring him on at that point and use that pace. And you're absolutely right. You've got the likes of Tommy Conway now, Marcus Force back, who, I think, can definitely lead the line for the Borough sort of thing. So the other 2 part of that question was obviously Riley McGree, the GOAT. Why isn't he starting? Look, for me, travel in international breaks is huge for the likes of Riley going to Australia and back. We know, the reason that I can't get over there. So it's so expensive, and 2, it's an 18-hour flight or something like that. I mean, 1, I would say travel, but 2, I think for me, the management of him it's coming down to, it's the injuries that he's had. Obviously, the past season was really poor with injuries. We know that, but maybe it's a management thing from Michael Carrick would be my answer. Maybe it's right, we've got 40 odd games in the championship plus cup games, let's not break Riley when he is such an asset, and then maybe use him for some other games and again squad rotation. But I guess, Yusuf, why do you see the GOAT being left on the bench?
Yeah, I mean, he actually obviously started, was it from the Stoke game? So I think he started the Stoke game.
Yep.
Played really, really well. That was a good win. Then we played against West Brom. Again, he set up Hayden Hackney's goal, but then he got substituted off. I think he had like something on his wrapped around his legs. And
he did,
injury. So then he was on the bench for the Watford game just before the international break. And then again on the bench the game after the international break. So I think when he's playing, when he's fit, he's obviously been playing. So I mean, there's no coincidence, in my opinion, that the two games that he hasn't played or started, shall I say, we haven't won, because I think he does have a big impact in the way that we play, because he's one of our most technically gifted players, and he's just he's a real asset, but probably because of the injuries, that's probably why he's not. But it wouldn't surprise me if he starts on Wednesday, to be honest.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
He's such a vital part of the team.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And I think one thing for me with Riley is that he creates those chances. We saw it with the Ben Doak goal. I mean, that was off a Riley McGree shot. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like in that position, he's got that confidence with that left foot to hit one. And I feel we are craving now, when we get into these sorts of positions, instead of then going out wider, that Riley, Hackney, whatever, just Lewis wing it. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm craving for, because, I mean, obviously, we're just, we're forced out wide and then trying to cut back in and then get it in. And, I think that's what Riley's biggest asset is that he creates moments of panic in defense because of his pinpoint passing or his shots, because he's got such a lethal left shot. And we've seen that all of his thing. Another question says, what's your thoughts on the international breaks from Hells? Hello, Hells. Do you think it's part of ruining the flow? Do you think it plays a part, in ruining the flow of a season, Yusuf? Do you think the international break, all these countries saying they want to play football on Borough time, is it ruining the flow of the season?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because obviously we play for like 4 weeks and then it's another international break, and then another 4 weeks, then another international break, then another 4 weeks, then November international break, and then from November to early March, obviously there's no international breaks, and then again international break in March, and then we carry on from end of March to the end of the season. So I think especially the first half of the season, there's a lot of international breaks, and it can upset the rhythm of the team and the momentum, especially if you've just won a game. You just want to play a game quickly just to keep the momentum going, and by having that 2 week break, it can kind of stop. But having said that, we lost the last game before the international break, so maybe maybe Carrick might have used it as a chance to maybe give some of the players a little bit of a rest, get a few injured players back as well. But yeah, for me, it can be it could upset the rhythm of the team for sure.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think one thing for me is that because Middlesbrough's got such a good squad, and obviously we're top end of the championship, and we've got players, we attract players of international quality, that we're starting to see now in those international breaks 8, 9, 10 players having to travel away. Now, for teams like us, and it's no disrespect to your Portsmouths and your Oxford Uniteds and the teams down below, but they don't have as many interruptions to that 2 week break because they've still got the squad there to train. And maybe they go, right, well, we can gel for this 2 weeks because we've got everyone still here. Where the likes of us, maybe, Sheffield United coming up, Leeds and all this, we lose a good chunk of our squad to these breaks. And Riley McGree's traveling. I mean, he came to Australia, then Japan. Aidan Morris had to go all the way to America. I mean, these boys aren't playing in, it's not like they're going down to Hartlepool to play, sort of thing. So I think that's the thing for me is that would, if to answer that question is, I think, yes, it disrupts us more because we lose a good chunk of our squad, unlike other teams that would use that opportunity to rest or go and do a team bonding exercise, whatever it may be. And, you know, it's hard to go and train what Carrick wants to do when you're missing Finn Azaz, you're missing Riley. You know, think of all the players that are out there and they're not there, that Carrick can't go, right, we just lost to Watford, this is what we're going to do. Because Finn then just goes straight away into international break, comes back on the Thursday, Friday before the game. And Carrick's had, what, a day or two with him to be able to say... And then don't forget, you know, when they're with the international teams as well, there's different coaching methods. So Riley would have been taught to do something completely different in that 2 weeks, as Finn would, you know, and Ben Doak, like you said, playing on the left sort of thing. So I think it's hard to put. I mean, because it's international football, you want to represent your country. I get that, but it's hard to say it's fair across the league because teams like Middlesbrough, I think, suffer more than other teams, and I'm trying to be respectful there as well. Another question says, do we have Wake the Neighbours merch coming soon? We do, actually. We do. I've got to, I will be talking about that very soon. And then Tufnell says, a joint Ryan Yusuf watch along. I mean, the man's at the game. I can't do anything. He's always at the games. This guy is the front and center. I'm not sure if you saw Hackney's goal, but the man was celebrating literally an inch away from Hackney's face. Could have reached out and touched him. I mean, it was incredible. And obviously, back to that, recognition, obviously, last season for the player of the season, but not only, the fan of the season, but not only that, mate, but your connection, obviously, with Middlesbrough, I think, and the players seems to be at an all-time high. I mean, I love it. As soon as we saw that Hackney goal, he runs in, his hands in the air, and there's Yusuf front and center, straight in front of Hackney's face. I mean, how does it feel to be not only recognized for that fan of the season, mate, but recognized by the players now? I mean, I think that, you know, Hayden, you know, is a big fan of yours, following you on Instagram and stuff like this.
Don't know if he's a fan of you.
I think he is. I'm going to say he is.
Nah. I mean, obviously Hackney's from the academy, so
yeah,
we followed each other since he was like 16,
yep,
playing for the 18s and stuff. So I've known. I'm not going to say I've been his friend for all these years, but I've known of him for over 6 years now. So it's great to see his growth and his the way that he's gone from academy football to having that loan spell at Scunthorpe. I've gone to a few under 21s, under 23 games. I remember seeing him a few times as well. I always knew he was a really, really good player. So. That's the thing about academy. We've got a lot of really, really good academy players coming through. So,
who's your next pick? Who's the next Hayden Hackney, Yusuf? I want to. There is breaking news. You hear it here first from Yusuf's mouth. Who is the next academy star to come out of Borough then?
I mean, it's very harsh to for me to come out. And,
point one.
Well, to be fair, we've got a lot of really.
We do.
Sonny Finch has gone out on loan.
Yeah,
you know, he's outstanding talent. We've got Finn Cartwright, who made his debut last season at only 16 years old.
Yeah,
had a few injuries since then, but he's a real future star. We've got some really good players coming through. George McCormick
signed a new deal today.
Signed a new deal. That's brilliant. Obviously, then last season we had people like Charlie Lennon and AJ Matthews coming off the bench, making their debuts. So we've got a plethora of talent coming through. But to name one, oh God, it's harsh.
I put pressure on.
I'll tell you a player that I like. That hasn't really been spoken about.
This is what,
much.
Yes.
And it's a player called Luke Woolston. He's had a few injuries.
Okay.
But he technically unbelievable.
Luke
player.
Woolston. Okay.
Luke Woolston. He's a little bit older than like the Finn Cartwrights and the AJ Matthews and the Charlie Lennons. But he's unbelievable. Really, really good player.
Well, there you go. There you go. For those that are watching at home, Luke Woolston. He's going to be the next star. Yusuf predicted it.
Oh dear, what have I started?
Tristan says, I hope one day we can reach the heights of the early 2000s, especially for Yusuf to see you going mental in the North Stand. We all want to be back in the early 2000s because then we'd have Mark Schwarzer in goal. There you go, I tell you. Lungful says, as fans, we feel the stop-start things that happen. It surely must be felt by the team when, as Rice said, a big chunk of the squad are missing for what ends up being a month mid-season. Yeah, and Stephen says, don't commit yourself to cooking one player. I mean, obviously, let's talk. This week, we got midweek game. We got a quick turnaround from the Bristol defeat. We're coming up against Chris Wilder, a manager we know well. He's obviously gone back to Sheffield United, had stint in the Premier League last season, come back down with them, has recruited very, very well. Sheffield United are a very strong squad again. One game for me that I am I'm scared. I'm scared. One, because Chris Wilder has irked me. Just the way, I think one thing that seems with me, Chris Wilder did so much for our club. And I think you said it, right? He brought Riley McGree in. Do you know what I mean? It was during this time that I sort of found, my fan sort of love, I guess you could say. So, there's a lot that he has done. And there's still players to this day that are such core to Middlesbrough that he's brought in. And I'm sure, was part of that. And we have great memories. But that whole Burnley job thing, and then going to Sheffield United, he's just been not caught, but in midweek saying that, he wishes that England should have had an English manager, and there was there was a last season comment about a referee eating a sandwich in front of him. I mean, he's a character, isn't he? And I think Middlesbrough will be hoping to be able to get one up on any previous manager, but for me, more so this week than ever because of our run of results. But again, it's not a given. But at the Riverside, how are you seeing us go this week against Chris Wilder and Sheffield United?
I mean, we tend to perform better against the better sides, because what we struggle with is when teams kind of sit back and defend, we just can't break them down. But when teams are, pressing a lot forward, we find that a little bit easier to easier is the wrong word, but we don't struggle so much because there's more space and we've got more options. So I've got a good feeling about the game. I genuinely do. Will we win? I don't know. Yeah. But I think we'll definitely give a good performance. Obviously, added the whole Chris Wilder returning to the Riverside. I'm sure he's going to get a frosty reception. But that's what football's about. And then obviously they've obviously had a bit of tragedy as well with George Bulldog.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, very true.
As well.
Yeah, it's been crazy this year, hasn't it?
It has. There's been a lot of tragedies and stuff, unfortunately. But it just goes to show you there's more to life than football. Football isn't everything. But they obviously lost the game against Leeds, so they're going to be determined to not lose 2 games in a row. But then we're looking to win as well because we've lost our last 2 games and we want to get closer, close the gap between ourselves and Sheffield United. If they beat us, the gap's going to get even bigger. So there's a lot riding on the game already, even at this early stage of the season. But that's why we love the Championship. But the beauty of it is we can beat them. We really, really can. And I'm confident we can give it a good little shot.
Yeah, no, look, I'm excited. I think what you're absolutely right. The nail on the head for me is that we tend to perform better against better teams. We saw it last season with Leicester in the midst of us throwing away easy points with Rotherham and stuff like that. We saw, a fantastic results against the likes of Leicester. So I think it's easier to get pumped up for a game like this when it's Sheffield United, ex-Premier League. You know what I mean? And I think there's going to be rotation as well. I think it's a midweek game. I think we're going to see maybe Marcus Force, maybe Tommy Conway, Riley McGree, these sorts of names. And again, our depth is just so incredible that you can rotate this 11 quite, dramatically and still have such a solid core sort of thing. So I'm excited. I think, it's not going to be easy by any stretch of the mean, and anyone thinking that's going to be easy. I mean, they're ex-Premier League. They've got players in there. They've got Premier League experience now. They've recruited very, very well. And I mean, we all know what Gus Hammer can do. Do you know what I mean? From his days at Coventry, but he's still there. I know Harry Suter very well. Riley McGree's good friend, his big Australian centre-back. He's not an easy man to beat sort of thing. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a great test. And I think it's going to be good to see the mind of Michael Carrick versus Chris Wilder, because it's the man technically that he replaced, I guess. Do you know what I mean? This is Middlesbrough obviously didn't see fit under Chris Wilder anymore, and we went and got Carrick. So it's literally, it's the man's that we thought, could take us forward sort of thing. So I'm looking forward to it, and it's going to be an interesting battle. And I think there's a little bit more spice there for me as well, which I'm very excited for. Tristan says, before I shoot, guys, Granddad and Dad have both told me that the Borough will only bring you tears. I've had more. I've had a lot of highs. Don't you worry. Lots of lows, but we've had lots of highs as well. Tufnell says, I think it will be a draw, and I will take a draw. Interesting. And Steven says, being an ex-punk rocker, I used to play 10 pole tutors. Go Wilder every Saturday. Since he left, I've never played it. Fair enough. Now, look, I think it's going to be an interesting week for the Borough. Obviously, we've got Sheffield United midweek. Then we've got Norwich on the weekend. Two teams that are there or thereabouts. I mean, and where we want to be. The hardest thing for me, Yusuf, is that in a season where we're just sort of maybe stop-startish, Sunderland somehow have come out of nowhere and are top of the league, and that just hurts me even more because we all know a Mackem or two, don't we, unfortunately, and they're always in our ear to remind us. I mean, what does it make it harder when our closest rivals, our closest team in the championship are doing so well? Do you think there's added pain there? Well, I mean, at the moment, I mean, or do you think, because if Sunderland were doing poorly, do you think it sort of would ease the pressure that we're putting on our team to perform?
I mean, I'm not too worried right now because it's very early days. So, like, if we're in February, March, and Sunderland are still up there, then I might have a different kind of reaction. But right now, not being a hater, but I can definitely see them falling off a little bit. I can't see them quite having the consistency to get there. But then again, look at Ipswich. I said that Ipswich were going to fall off, and they didn't. They just carried on, and got promoted. So that's the thing about the Championship. Anyone can get promoted. But we'll have to kind of wait and see. You know, I'm one of those fans that I'd rather see Middlesbrough do well than focus on other teams.
Completely agree.
Some fans might focus too much on how the opposition team is doing. Like, I remember the amount of games I go to are losing at half time, and someone says to me, "Oh, Sunderland are losing, Leeds are losing." Well, we're losing.
What's going on here?
We're losing. So it's almost like, I'm one of those fans that I don't really care too much about other teams' results. I just want Middlesbrough to do well. And if we got promoted, and the price of us getting promoted was Sunderland also getting promoted, I'll take that. Do you know what I mean? I'd rather, if that's the price, that's the price. All I want to see is Middlesbrough get promoted.
Amen. I think we all want that, I tell you. Marcus comes in and says, what would your preferred starting forward line be? Is there space in this Middlesbrough team to have two strikers at once?
Possibly. If we play the wing-back system that we spoke about, we could potentially have two strikers. But it's difficult with modern day football. There's not many teams that play 4-4-2. The only teams that tend to play two strikers is when they have wing-backs. So I'm sure Chris Wilder will probably play wing-back.
He definitely will.
Two strikers up top. So it's one of them ones where I think that's probably the only way. But then if you've got Marcus Force on the right wing, he can, like, when he cuts in, he could be like a second striker. Tommy Conway, when he plays number 10, a second striker. When we had Chuba up front for us, he was playing obviously as a second striker. So there's ways of having two strikers on the pitch, but the best way would be if we had the wing back system, because 4-4-2 is you could get overrun in midfield and whatnot. So I think if we play a wing back system, then we could play two up front.
Yep, I completely agree. I think there is a team out there. I mean, I think more so when we had Josh Coburn in our ranks, to have the two completely different strikers, because I think that would be fantastic to have such a tall, physical striker and Latte small, pacey. Just, I remember the Crouch Defoe days. Do you know what I mean? Coming to mind, sort of thing of how you as a defense handle such a a tall presence in Josh Coburn and then a small Latte. Tommy Conway and Latte, I would think, are similar in size, probably similar in pace, sort of thing. So I think there's space. I think Marcus Force as well. I think Marcus Force needs to lead our line sooner rather than later as well, if he is fit. And again, you've got to be careful because he has had off such a horrid injury run. But I think, you don't want to be pushing him too soon. But like you said, I think he's the best finisher we've got. And if you put him in front of goal with some of the chances we had on the weekend, I think he buries them because he's just got that natural finishing ability. So, yeah, I think it's I think it's natural that hopefully at some point this season we might see 2 strikers. Maybe not. Michael Carrick, is the thing. Sean says, "G'day guys. They also had 12 players, including the ref, on the pitch yesterday. A few yellows by the referee, that's for sure." Jacob says, "Hello, Rye and Yusuf. I hope you're both doing well. Do you think BORO'S could work as a partner with Latte Lath? BORO'S is tall and physical, like you just said." I guess I'll two-phrase it for you, Yusuf. One, what have you made of BORO'S coming into the team? Obviously, a summer signing as well. And do you see him as a striker or as a winger that he has been deployed at as well?
I think he's come in. He's done okay.
Yep.
There's been a couple of times where you think, he's been a bit greedy or whatnot, and you think, but yeah, I still think it's early days. He hasn't really been given that much opportunities for us to say whether he's going to be top player or not. So it's far too early. But from what I've seen, he looks promising. He's got that pace and that physical side. The only things I don't know what his position is. I don't know, is he a number 9? Is he a winger? Because he's played in kind of both positions. But I think sometimes that could be a strength where you're versatile, you can play in different positions, but it could also be a weakness as well because you haven't really got like a position, because 1 minute you're a striker, the next minute you're a winger, next minute number 10. So, but I think he's done okay. And I think he could be a real asset for us, definitely.
I can't wait. Look, I think for me, sometimes I've been screaming out for a bit of that greediness that I think he's shown is in terms of someone to shoot. Do you know what I mean? We're passing it around back and forth, trying to find that perfect pass, but just someone lace it and just have a crack sort of thing. And I think sometimes maybe that's what we need. And I think, someone, Jacob's just put his performance have been better through the center, in my opinion. I completely agree. I think he's a big, tall presence that through the center, I think we could use him well as long as he gives it off and has that 1-2 set up and then, maybe latches on to 1 or 2. I think sometimes that greediness can go in our favor, and I must admit. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what BORO'S can do. I think at the moment, like you said, I think he's still going to remain on the bench. I'm not sure he fits into the starting 11 for me, but, maybe he starts. We saw him come off the bench and grab a chance, in that ultimate game against Leeds, didn't we, in the Cup? So fingers crossed we can see more from him because we need someone to start taking the goals. We can't have Matt Clark as our top goal scorer. I mean, we can, because I absolutely love Baldini, and he's the most fantastic centre-back I've ever had. And we need Baldini come Wednesday, I tell you. I'm missing me some Matt Clark, that's for sure. Yusuf, I want to talk to you quickly as well about the kit launch. You again, another Brad Pitt moment. They went through the list of fans and said, too ugly, too tall, too Australian, Yusuf, perfect, tick, and called you in, mate, to launch this season's kit. Mate, what a day that looked like. You were surrounded by other fans, but also some players, Izzy Jones, Hayden Hackney, and that. Talk to me about what that was like, being able to launch BORO'S kit and just going through the photo shoot, and how natural you are in front of a camera as well. Does it come naturally to you? I mean, you just Photoshop so well, mate.
Like making me blush, aren't you? Yeah, well, I've got a secret to say. The players weren't there with the fans.
Oh,
it was yeah.
Oh, okay. They split you. Okay. Yeah, there you go. There you go. It did look like you were together. It did, I must say. Well done. Well played, Middlesbrough.
I might get in trouble. For revealing that secret. I might not get invited next year. Because I signed something called an NDA. I didn't know what that was.
Oh, I don't know. I've never heard of them before. No.
Apparently, when I put the shirt, I can talk about it now because the shirt's been revealed. But because I did it like a few weeks before it was posted, I had to sign this NDA. So I had to Google it, and apparently it meant that I couldn't take photos of it or share it because until revealed it. Basically, yeah. I mean, I didn't even tell my mum I was doing it, so it was. I was that scared of getting in trouble. Yeah. Everything was like. Yeah. But yeah, it was a great reception, and unfortunately it was done in pre-season. So normally in pre-season I let my hair grow, so no one sees me in pre-season. But it happened during pre-season, so I've got this big bushy hair. I
use that as our thumbnail for this as well, by the way, because I love it that much.
So I'm going to be reminded. I'm going to be reminded because I thought, because I use pre-season as a chance to just grow my hair, save a bit of money by not going to the barber, and then when the season starts, cut my hair, which I did for the Swansea game. I went back to being kind of bold, but yeah, it was great. I first heard about it at the EFL Awards. Actually, one of the guys mentioned it to me that work at the club. He was like, "Oh, we're thinking of doing a kit launch involving the fans. Would you be interested?" Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the first time I heard about April. Then they emailed me mid-May, maybe.
Okay.
Say what date's the best date.
Yeah.
So, and then eventually we pinned down the date in June. The club were fantastic.
Yeah.
They paid for my train tickets, which was
Wow.
great.
That's so good.
There's a lot of myths going around social media where people say that the club buy my season ticket and they pay for my travel, and this is the first time the club have ever paid for my travel. Just to let you know,
there you go. There you go.
People that are with the conspiracy theorists.
There you go.
The club pay for my travel and the club pay for my tickets and all of that. I read a lot and like.
Yeah, I bet you
it's
do.
It's frustrating sometimes because
I bet.
But then people like believe it.
I know.
It becomes so frustrating. So I just kind of I've given up even.
Yeah. There's no point, is there? Do you know what I mean? And I mean, I haven't been anywhere near as subjected to what you have, I think, in the social media world. I mean, just recently we saw you celebrating at the train station and that went viral. I mean, that blew up just seeing you giving it to the opposition fans, and I love that. But you're absolutely right. I think, ignoring it. And I think, I think it's the minority that sometimes are the loudest, because I think the majority understands that, the club isn't paying for, you to do that sort of stuff, nor would they be paying, as people are asking, to fly me from Australia. I mean, it's just, and I think because as well, I think as, the more intelligent you would see is if they do it for one, you know what I mean? It opens up the why don't they do it for me sort of thing. So and I've always said that, when I come over, it's got to be through the way, through me. I want to pay and get myself over there and all that sort of stuff. So, I completely get where you're coming from, and social media can be also quite loud. Yusuf, we are running out of time, but I wanted to quickly get your predictions, mate. I want to see, is this the season? We had so much oomph on it. I mean, is it the season that we go back to the Premier League? Do you see enough in this squad to get us back to where we belong in the Premier League? Do you think Michael Carrick will still be at the helm come that time? And give us a cheeky prediction for this week's game against Sheffield United.
I genuinely do think we can still get promoted, because for me, there's no outstanding team. And I genuinely believe there's going to be one team that gets promoted that we're going to scratch our head and think, how the hell have they got promoted? We're better than them.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? There will be at least one club that we're going to look at and we're going to think, how have they got promoted? Because on paper, but football's not played on paper, but on paper, we're going to think we're better than them.
Yeah.
The players will think that, the fans will think that. So why can't we be one of the three clubs to get promoted? If we have less injuries and, we have a better luck with injuries and we're a bit more clinical in front of goal, and we don't make the stupid mistakes which we've been making. There's been several mistakes this season, which is frustrating. I mean, last season, so many goals were scored and it were wonder goals against us. Dieng could do nothing about. This season's kind of the opposite.
Yeah.
Basically, we're making some stupid errors and it's our fault, simple as that. So are we getting promoted? Yes, I think we can get promoted. Will Carrick be the man to do it? I hope so.
Yep.
But he's obviously a young English manager, and clubs will be interested in him in the Premier League because, I mean, look at Chelsea getting Enzo Maresca from what he did at Leicester and stuff. There's no reason why he can't. I just hope he can get to the Premier League with Middlesbrough, maybe stay for at least one more year, and then maybe he could get his opportunity at I don't want to say bigger club, but
Yeah.
club that's established in the
I think
Premier
that
League.
there's that Man United link, isn't there? And that I don't think that'll ever go away when with someone that has so many appearances for that club. And I think you can see that Man United's always a close club to his heart. Do you know what I mean? I think his family still live in that area and stuff like that. So I think if Man United came calling, I mean, I just like Bayern Munich did for Aaron Danks. Do you know what I mean? I think that sort of thing. But I hope that that's the only kind of club that could pull Michael away. Do you know what I mean? Sort of thing. So yeah, it's an interesting one to watch. And I think, you know, that's the opposite, isn't it? Is when if we do turn it around and have this ultimate success, then you start getting noticed. You know what I mean? Don't you? The Kieran McKenna starts getting to notice, like, of what he's done and all this sort of stuff. And like Enzo gets noticed and stuff like this. So it's got a sort of flip side effect as well, doesn't it? So it's interesting. And give me, I need a result Wednesday night. I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory for the Borough. I just think we're going to step up. It's going to be a tough old slog. It's at the Riverside. The crowd's going to be, are you going to be there first and foremost? And then obviously, what are you going to be witnessing as you're screaming in front of Hackney's face after a 40-yard screamer?
So I actually won't be there on Wednesday, sadly.
Sad.
Lack of trains. It's difficult, the night games. So
yeah. Amen. It's 4 a.m. for me.
4 a.m. dearie me. So yeah, that's difficult for you. But yeah, so sadly I won't be there. But score prediction, it's going to be a tough game. I hope we win, but I think it will probably be a 1-1 draw. Which will still be a good result. And we, you know, it means the gap isn't. It's a game that I don't think we can lose, because then the gap's going to be too big for us to reach Sheffield United, because we're going to have to rely on Sheffield United to lose a number of games. But if we can keep it the way that it is now, and just, you know, we've got Norwich after, and then I think, is it Coventry, QPR.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, it's Coventry, then QPR, then Luton Town, then Oxford.
And then Luton Town, and then international break.
Yeah, exactly. Another international break.
I know, exactly. Then Oxford. Blackburn at home.
Then we're into Christmas. Can you believe it? This year's gone. I can't believe it, mate.
I know. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how quick time's going. But yeah, I think we can definitely go on a nice. They could be the start of an unbeaten run. Yeah. So I say 1-1, 1-1, and Latte to score.
Yes, get in. I want to see him get that weight off his shoulders. Well, mate, I don't want to keep you too long. I know you need to get to lunch, but I just want to say thank you so much for sitting down with me once again. I absolutely love chatting Middlesbrough with you. I feel like I could do it for hours, but I got to be conscious that we have got lives and jobs and stuff like this. I want to do this again very soon, so we will try and tee something up. For those out there that have been sitting and listening and watching live, I really appreciate you. If you're watching it back, please check out Yusuf. He is absolutely incredible human being. It's just one of the nicest guys I've ever met. And I absolutely love him. So please, obviously, check out Yusuf on Instagram, whatever it is. And if you see him at the game, get a photo, because the man is Brad Pitt. Okay, he models fan of the season. You know what I mean? He models kits. Do you know what I mean? So if you see him, get a cheeky snap with him. And Yusuf, my only request, obviously I can't get a photo with you, is that if you see Riley, please tell him I love him. And just say it with sincerity, so that, because he for some reason he's like, stop being weird and telling me this, but I keep sending people to tell him, so he's got to hear it. So
has he left you unopened, or does he reply to your messages?
I keep getting this one message saying you've been blocked. Please try again. You know, somewhere. For some reason I keep saying I love you, and it seems you know, due to the restraining order. Please, no. He does. I'm kidding, because people believe it. He does, of course I do. Of course he does. No, no. But please enjoy the next game you're at. Enjoy the next few run. I hope that Middlesbrough can go on a bit of run, and we will sit down again very soon. I wish you all the best and in life and love and health. And again, appreciate you sitting down with me. Congratulations on the Fan of the Season nomination. Couldn't have seen a much better human being get nominated for that, mate. And I truly mean that. I was so happy and excited for you. And from last season, the riot of the lows of seeing what you went through, you know, with fans and stuff like that, to finishing on the high. I was ecstatic for you. So congratulations, and continue being you. And I will speak to you again soon. To you guys that are in there live, thank you so much. Please thank Yusuf for joining me, and I will see you all here on Invictus live for the watch along 4 a.m. Oh my goodness me, for Middlesbrough versus Sheffield United. But again, please go and check out Yusuf, and thank you for sitting down with me, mate. We will talk again very, very soon.
Spot on. Cheers, pal.
Thanks, guys.
All the best.